Live like a true master of life. No rigid fear of danger. No reckless chase of thrills. Flow with effortless awareness and watch death lose its grip while vitality skyrockets. Welcome back to the Boundless Sovereign YouTube channel. We are in the midst of our Tao Te Ching series. We are actually on chapter 50, but hey, if you've enjoyed this series or this is your first chapter, please go back and check out the other ones. Like and subscribe so you can see all future updates and so we can get these videos out to more people in the world so they can experience the growth and the awareness that this book and this literature can bring to you. So without further ado, no terrain of death. There is a coming into life, an entering into death. The companions of life make up 1/3. The companions of death, another third. The final third have their heart and mind too set on living. They slide from life to the terrain of death. I have heard that those who truly nurture life travel on land without encountering rhinoceros or tiger. They join the fray of war without wearing armor or bearing arms. The rhinoceros finds nowhere to butt. The tiger nowhere to dig its claws. The enemy nowhere to drive the points of its weapons. For those who truly nurture life, there is no terrain of death. And with our daily tradition, I'm also going to be reading from the River Master's commentary. Whosoever clings to life and sets too much store by living loses the thread of the Tao. Wantonly defies heaven and nature. Whosoever nurtures life through self-cultivation, such a one follows heaven and nature, the soul of itself, and is safe from harm. Wild beasts have no cause to do harm. The enemy has no reason to attack. For these, there is no terrain of death. And as a little bonus today, I'm actually going to also read Magister Liu's commentary, also from the John Minford version, on this chapter 50. Death and no death exist within the heart and mind. That is their terrain. A heart and mind that clings to life at all costs is filled with fear of death, and so enters the terrain of death. But those who nurture true life, who practice self-cultivation in the true Tao, have no fear of death. Neither wild beast nor armed enemy can harm. Inviolable inner natures such as these, and so in death they do not die. For them there is no terrain of death. In life, plants and insects flow with the unfolding of life. In death, they flow with the unfolding of death. Some humans deny the flow of life and death. In living, they cling to life, to fame, and to wealth. They crave life and speed toward death. For those who nurture true life, who practice self-cultivation in the Tao, there is no me, and therefore no other. They walk the earth safe from harm. They do not step onto the terrain of death. The secret of no mind is the nourishment of non-being. Seeing life as no life, the terrain of death is within. Life and death proceed from the heart and mind. Within the human heart and mind, the terrain of life becomes the terrain of death. Where there is no human heart and mind, the terrain of death is the terrain of life. There is never a never-ending flow of life. This is long life. Wow, that said, that was quite a bit of commentary there, especially from Magister Liu there. So what is this trying to say? I've talked about this in previous chapters. Again, a lot of these same concepts circle. Lao Tzu circles these concepts continuously throughout the entire Tao Te Ching. This idea of clinging to life, I had actually just shared a story in a chapter or two ago about how we had recently had an earthquake in Great Falls, and how somebody I know was literally uprooted or upended by this 15-second earthquake because they literally thought that they were going to die. Might seem a little bit absurd. In some respects, I thought, from my perspective, I thought, wow, if this particular person is so concerned about their life in a 15-second earthquake that was relatively mild, they are clinging to life and so are afraid to die. And this fear of death keeps you bound in suffering. And so then you're afraid that you don't have enough. You're afraid that something bad might happen to you. You're afraid that your life might not be that good. You're afraid that you could die. And so you spend your mental focus and your mental energy and your emotional focus and your emotional energy on the possibility that you might someday die. And the realization of that, the truth of that, if you could breathe and take a step back, you realize this physical form will not last forever, and that someday this physical form shall perish. And a ruthless acceptance of that fact of existence is the very key to allow you to live a more fulfilled, more complete, with less suffering, without fear life. This chapter is critical to freeing your heart and mind from the suffering that you experience in your day-to-day life. It is tied to this undeniable fear of dying. In order to live, you must die. And what that means is you must accept that death is part of the process. And only when you accept that premise can you truly live. I had mentioned in a chapter quite a while ago at this point, early on in this series, about how I went through a exercise. There was a book I had read where it kind of takes you through this idea of facing your own physical death in a mental thought exercise, which sounds like, well, it's probably not quite like actually facing your own death. But I'll tell you, because the mind is so powerful, as you go through this, you actually start to feel the fear and the anxieties and all of the things that bubble up with you as you face your own death. And so what happened was I would go through, it would be like, okay, hey, you've got 6 months. You just got diagnosed with some terminal illness. You've got 6 months. And then you walk through the exercise and you say how you feel and you say what you're focused on and what you're thinking about. And then slowly over the period of the book, it would take you closer and closer and closer to the point of death, all the way up until your last months, weeks, days, hours, minutes, and then finally, kind of the experience, like what you could imagine the experience would be like afterwards. And it was terrifying. It was utterly terrifying. I did this probably when I was late 20s, maybe. Late 20s, I would say. Late, feels like yesterday, actually. But it was almost 15 years ago. It's like maybe 12 to 15 years ago I did this. And it set me on the path of realizing that that life is finite, that death is imminent at some point, and that the only way to really enjoy what we have here is to let go of this idea that we're going to be here forever, and to realize that this self that we've developed over the period of our lives, that we've been kind of brought into this world believing that we are, that this narrative that we tell ourselves, this story that we believe ourselves to be, is not worth hanging on to. And the only way to actually live free is to let it go. And again, that is a certain kind of death. If you've ever, and maybe you have, finding this, obviously this channel and this series, maybe you've gone through what they call a dark night of the soul, or just a kind of a revelation that this life in this world isn't exactly what it appears to be, and you've realized that to really thrive in this world, you have to accept that you will perish at some point, and that your ego must perish in order for you to enjoy and be whole in your life. So this chapter's tough. I think this chapter can be difficult if you haven't gone through this kind of exercise and really done the spiritual work or the internal work in yourself to refine or reduce your reliance on your ego. Well, if this chapter resonated with you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Again, this is the Boundless Sovereign YouTube channel, where we try to hold up the mirror for folks and help them to see themselves clearly so they can integrate and become a more aligned being and then be a positive force for change in the world. This was the Tao Te Ching, Chapter 50. We'll see you all in Chapter 51.